What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. One thing college football has going for them is, unlike the NFL, because of the way their system is built with the conferences, it's kind of like pro football now, especially with the NIL, meets the Real Housewives. Because the NFL doesn't have the capability to steal coaches. So that element is something that just brings a drama and a reality television element, especially in the South, that we just don't get in the NFL. And the Lane Kiffin saga, in a weird way, is fantastic for college football. Why? Because everyone has an opinion. It's one of those that you could ask someone that doesn't even watch that much college football, and they would have a take. Oh, he's fucking over his guys. It's like, you would never turn down that much. It's LSU. What are you talking about? Every single person's going to have an opinion. And I do believe, I'm not someone that's scared to take a stance. This was always going to be messy. And I've heard a couple people say, and I do agree with this, and I watched the documentary that he did on E60. I think it was pretty clear that this year was a lot about changing his image, or at least letting the world know that he has changed his image, right? Let everyone know I'm sober. The hot yoga thing became really, really big. My health, my wellness, my family now has all moved back around me. I'm around my kids. I'm around my ex-wife. I text someone tonight. Does that mean him and his ex? And I know I text someone that knows him pretty well. It's like, do they live together? Do they sleep in the same bed? Or is it like his ex-wife just moved into town because their son is there now? And I couldn't quite get a real answer. But that's not the point of this whole thing. And maybe they're back in love. Maybe they're not. But hey, I'm a family man. It's almost like a politician. You're a stronger politician if you're married. If you can take Christmas card photos with your 3 children, than if you're just standing there with a couple of your boys and a couple 12 packs. I mean, you just look much more hireable when you check all the boxes that society has told you to check. And let's face it, for a long time, and even Lane admitted this, he wasn't checking any of them. And here's the other thing. He has been trying to get all these jobs for years. And I don't blame him. I know for a fact he really wanted the Oregon job several years ago when Mario went to Miami. And they wouldn't even talk to him. Think how crazy that sounds now. Now, clearly they made a great hire with Dan Lanning, but at the time, they would not even interview Lane Kiffin. And he obviously was on the fence a couple years about Auburn, ended up staying at Ole Miss. Think about this, because I talk about this a lot, that if the Alabama thing, and I've probably tweeted this, like he'll just go back to Alabama. Alabama was open last year. And guess who controls all of this? Jimmy Sexton. Well, who's his number one client and kind of has to do whatever he tells him to do when it comes to some of this stuff? Nick Saban. And Alabama definitely, once Nick retired, was not going to hire someone that Nick did not want them to hire. So you're telling me that last year when Alabama came available, Lane Kiffin wouldn't have been interested in the job? Well, guess what? Alabama wouldn't have hired him. And I think Lane Kiffin knew it. And I don't think the E60 thing was random. And listen, PR, propaganda, we live in a world of it all. Clearly, I don't know Lane. I haven't talked to him in a long, long time. But my Fresno ties, it's where Lane went to college. I know a lot of people that know him well. My good buddy Tim Skipper played on the college football team with him. John Baxter, who's the special teams coach at Fresno State, was a special teams coach at USC. Listen, I think what everyone says, Lane's a different cat. I do think the drinking and the partying was a big kind of X factor to his life. And I think he wanted to show everyone that is behind him. And you just look at him. Like, he just looks sober with his skinny face. And clearly health is a big, part of his life now. I also think, though, he's like treated like he's Nick Saban. It's like, guys, I mean, last year a lot of people thought, beside Ohio State, had the best roster in the country and didn't even make the playoffs. Now, this year, he's done a really good job. What's his best win? Oklahoma? Again, I'm not trying to diminish any of his accomplishments. My point is that he's talked about like he's Nick Saban or Urban Meyer. And I think it's more of a product of this hype machine we work in. Now, part of it, he's a huge personality. And that always and will always work in college football. And it's fun. I enjoy it. I like following this whole thing. I'm entertained by it. I understand if you're an Ole Miss fan, you hate him. You're going to believe in that one. The guy that said you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. I don't know if he's a local reporter, local podcaster that clearly pissed Lane off. Like that analogy kind of works here, Lane. Like based on your career, you're kind of a nomad bouncing around. Whether you're getting fired, like at USC, or like when Nick Saban fired you, or like now, you have a playoff team and you're choosing to go to LSU, which may age as being the right decision, may age to not, because the one thing in the SEC, whether you're a huge personality or whether you're an asshole or whether you're a big talker or whether you're an introverted, don't say much. If you win, no one cares. But if you don't, and I mean especially at LSU, at Florida, at Bama, look at Kalen DeBoer. He was probably a couple minutes away from Auburn scoring, and if they went for two, losing that game, to basically being forced to having to go to Penn State. Just because 9-3 would not have been accepted. Missing the playoffs would not have been allowed. Because their expectations there are so high. And I think Lane is going to have the hoopla, the hype machine. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm excited to watch him at LSU. I love the drama of this. I'm very entertained by this. As an outsider, as someone who doesn't have a specific team, I gravitated for years to Nick Saban just because I enjoyed watching Alabama play. But I just enjoy the drama of the SEC. And I can't wait to watch this. And when LSU goes back to Ole Miss next year, the animosity, the anger, it's going to be a lot of fun. But you better win. You better win big. And I think you get all this money, you get all this hype. Eventually, you start playing games. And, what he did at Ole Miss, there's a bigger magnifying glass at LSU. And it's going to be fascinating to watch. Now, I do think some of these guys, there's no disputing Lane's offensive mind. He's clearly pretty brilliant, going back to USC days, to Alabama when he was with Saban, to what he's done at FAU and clearly at Ole Miss. But I just think this thing is going to be, it's going to be crazy and it's going to be intense. And the hatred, the other thing in sports, like sometimes you need villains. Like you can't just have, it's the problem. Like I love the PGA Tour. Every guy's just too nice now. All their villains play on the Live Tour. Like you need some Draymond Greens and Dennis Rodmans. You can't have everyone being buddy. I need people like I say this all the time. It speaks to like Ohio State and the Lakers that I root against you. That's a powerful thing. People root against the Yankees. People root against Duke basketball. No one roots against the Arizona Cardinals. No one roots against the Jacksonville Jaguars. No one roots against the Atlanta Hawks. But like some people hated Nick Saban. People hated Coach K. People hate Rick Pitino or John Calipari. People just want to root against them. People hated Brian Kelly. Since Lincoln Riley has gone to USC, I find myself kind of rooting against him. I don't even know why. So you just need people to root against. That's the power of sports. You can't, the programs or the teams that are just fans don't care about, that's a problem. So LSU now is going to, a lot of people in the SEC are going to root against them. That's good. I mean, that's because of Lane. And he's become the number one villain in college football. He's an extremely polarizing individual. And buckle up because I can't wait to watch this. I'll end on this. Today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. The Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app is the only legal sportsbook for whenever you're in Florida. It's also live in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, and Colorado. Coming soon to more states, too. Sign up today and you could win $150 in bonus bets. Just place a $5 bet, and if it hits, you not only get your winnings, but you also get $150 in extra bonus bets. Plus, Hard Rock Bet offers new promos daily, plus big legendary reward drops every single Thursday. It's like gifts under the tree. So whenever you're listening, just open the app up and check out what you've got waiting for you. Download the Hard Rock Bet now and make your first deposit. I saw a story today from Jeff Darlington about Dave Caldwell, the former Jags GM, who was actually working for the Philadelphia Eagles, I think for the last 6 or 7 years. And he's leaving the Eagles to become the GM for Florida. And I do believe, and I've been saying this for a while, whenever this topic comes up, that a lot of guys in the NFL that are like the third or fourth guy, like if you're the college scouting director or you're like the head SEC scout, if you get the opportunity to be the GM of the LSU for Lane, or be the GM for Florida, or be the GM for Clemson, or be the GM for Ohio State, these jobs are pretty elite because a lot of them pay, Jim Nagy, who is a longtime NFL scout, ran the Senior Bowl once Phil Savage left, and now he is the general manager at Oklahoma. I'm pretty sure he makes like $850,000. So unlike when you're a road scout and you have to travel all over the place, you basically are just in-house. And because of the current rules, you can't go on the road and recruit. So from a travel perspective, besides going to the team's away games, it's a pretty good gig. Now, it's hard, long days, long hours, but if you're already having that gig in the NFL at either on the road for a team or like an in-house pro scouting director, you're working crazy hours anyway and not making nearly as much money. I was texting someone today. I've never signed a $100 million contract, but I can't imagine some of these guys that are making $100 million in the SEC that live in these towns. How many homes in Baton Rouge or Oxford, Mississippi are worth like over $3 million? This was the thing when Lincoln went to USC. He had just built like a new mansion. And they're like, who's he going to sell it to? There's no one in Norman, Oklahoma that is going to buy this off him. So USC had to spend the money to essentially just buy his property. And I do think these guys are just living. Like Lane Kiffin's going to make $12 or $13 million to be the head coach in Baton Rouge. He's been making $8, $9, $10 million for the last 4 or 5 years in Oxford, Mississippi. Like the amount of money he is making right now, I bet he is making the equivalent of some NFL players making like 20 or 25 million that are living in a place like Los Angeles, San Francisco, or New York. When you factor in the taxes, when you factor in the cost of living, like he is swimming in money. And I think a lot of these college football programs are the assistants, the GMs. Like this is a really good time. When I worked in college football, none of these jobs existed. Definitely none of this money was near at this level. So I get asked a lot of times, like, how do you get involved if I want to get into scouting? There is a direct route now in college football. And you don't have to start out as like the GM, but just like get your foot in the door. All these programs are building and creating scouting departments that did not exist a decade ago. Saban kind of started it, maybe in the 2010, 11, 12 range. And by the end of last decade, kind of everyone's copied. Now, because of the growth and the wealth of the sport, there's a lot of money behind it. And it's not like, well, you can work for the program, but we can give you a $200 a week stipend. It's like, now we got 3 positions. They all pay $75,000. And then you can be the number 2, make $400,000, and then you can be the GM and make $900,000. So it's a crazy business. The Lane Kiffin story was nuts, and we just got to buckle up and enjoy it.